presently also Shivakumar is in Indica Academy's work only. He is running a meta retreat on cultural appropriation of Carnatic music uh, in Tiruvannamalai. He in the morning we were talking about the Arya anthology. He is the one who edited that in the context of the Madhavi story. Uh, Sushumnaji was mentioning Arya anthology, and he was a scholar in residence of Indica, and is even today he is one of the editors of our Indica Today magazine. And Shivashankar Avaru worked in an IT company. He uh, is like many of our Indica people. He is also with a corporate background, but he contributes intellectually in a number of ways. He has completed 100 publications on Indica Today. He has done several podcasts for Indica, and he has contributed uh, many leadership training programs in behalf of Indica, and they are still continuing. Uh, Shivakumar Avaru today is going to talk about the Karaga festival of Bengaluru Metro City. In the morning, we were talking about how Pranshuji also was intending to talk about this, and we asked him to talk about Pandav Leela Festival of Garhwal. Uh, Shivakumar Avaru is a local resident of Bengaluru itself, so his experience with the Karaga festival is as a local from decades. He has been an eyewitness to the festival, and he knows ins and outs of the festival and the temple in the car street of Bengaluru. So he is going to give almost like our Madhabhushi Sampath professor who was talking about the Chittur Draupadi festival uh, as an insider participant experience. Shivakumar Avaru also has got an insider participant experience of the Bengaluru Karaga festival, and we over to you, Shivakumar.
Next slide, please. So as we all know, uh, this festival called Bengaluru Karaga. Karaga is a term that is common in between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. This festival is also there in other forms, and it is centered around Draupadi, who is deemed as Adishakti Avatara in this case. Obviously, it is drawn from the Mahabharata traditions with various local legend variations that exist. It is celebrated by a community called Vahnikula Kshatriya. So, this Vahnikula Kshatriya are called as Tigalas in Karnataka, and they're largely found in the South Karnataka, especially centered around Bangalore and downwards of Bangalore. They speak a form of a language that is a mix between Kannada and Tamil, but largely Tamil. In Tamil Nadu, the Vahnikula Kshatriyas are called as Vaniyars. And in Karnataka, the Tigalas have three different subsects: Vahnikula Kshatriyas, Shambhukula Kshatriyas, and one more Agnikula Kshatriyas, but collectively called as Tigalas, but largely referred to as Vahnikula Kshatriyas, and they are Kshatriyas. What is even more interesting is that they are also agriculturists and floriculturists. They are experts in growing flowers. And one of the reasons why the South Karnataka in particular and Bangalore, in South Karnataka in general and Bangalore in particular, is a floriculture center is because of the Tigalas or the Varnikula Kshatriyas. So it is interesting to note that a Kshatriya community is also an expert in something that requires a totally different gentle sensitivity, such as floriculture. And the festival itself spans over 8 years. There are four temples of Dharmaraya Swami. What is interesting is that while the festival itself is anchored around Draupadi as Adishakti, the temple is referred to as Dharmaraya Swami temple, and the all the Pandavas and Draupadi are devatas in the temple. This festival spans over 800 years. There is evidence of this being performed for a very, very long time. The temple itself, when it was constructed, is not clear, but still it is an ancient temple. There are four Dharmaraya Swami temples. The most important Dharmaraya Swami temple is in the heart of the city. If anybody knows Bangalore, they know that the center of the city is what is called as Majestic. And around that, there are pet areas where Majestic is where the railway station and the bus stand and the center of the metro is. And the biggest markets are there. And that is exactly where the Tigalarapete or Nagarathapete is there, where the Dharmaraya Swami temple exists, where this Karaga happens. There are three other Dharmaraya Swami temples, a couple of them in Kalasipalya, not very far away, 2 kilometers, and one in Shivajinagar area, which is maybe 7, 8 kilometers. But a community that is really not a significant presence in terms of numbers is actually the owning the reigning deity and the reigning festival of Bangalore, and which is the Tigala community. And lots of regional folk customs and etc. are there. We'll tell the stories as we go along. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, it is centered around Dharmaraya Swami temple in Nagarathpete or Tigalarapete. So Tigalas, they have a very interesting story. The story goes that Draupadi, when she was going along with the Pandavas to Himalayas as in this Vargarohana Parva, there is a Asura who came and teased her, and in the process of destroying the Asura, Draupadi created Tigalas as Virakumaras who to protect herself, and Tigalas are the descendants of those Virakumaras. And although it's a small community, it is so very well structured and organized, and there are different roles that different people perform. And there are some family lineages associated with this as well. So it's a structured festival with very systematic organization of rituals and roles. And there's a very clear ritual hierarchy part of it. What is also more important is the known part of the rituals is much less than the unknown part. So any inclination to study, modernity has not yet crept into the secrecy of this community. So many things are not known. It is respected as not known, and it is left as not known. Largely male-led, but the women participate in critical parts of the festival, and also the entire festival is around the divine feminine authority. And Dharmaraya Swami's temple is the center of everything. It is not only the center of the Tigalas as a community. It has become the a kind of psychological center of Bangalore itself. At least until around 2000, the textbooks of Karnataka always carried a chapter on Bangalore Karaga. So it kind of crept into the consciousness of the society as the festival of Bangalore. And what the YouTube era and the internet era has done is to overcome any changes to textbook. And it is now even more firmly etched, at least in the old part of Bangalore, as the festival of Karnataka. There is so much of pride and emotion associated with this festival, and especially for the Tigalas community. The small community has not let modernity come in the way. And also, the state takes significant pride in Karaga as an ancient heritage and culture and religious performance of the city. Any kind of secular sensitivity of the state has not crept into altering anything about the temple. The community does not even form a significant presence to impact any electoral considerations. But its authority over the temple, its authority over the ritual, and its authority over anything has remained unaffected, over a period of time. Year after year, when the festival gets as much beamed in on television as the state festival of Navaratri gets beamed, minus the secrecy part of it. Next slide, please. So the story is like this. Timrasura attacks Draupadi during Swargarohana Parva, and Draupadi assumes Adishakti form, and she gives rise to four different people: Durga Pujari, Ghante Pujari. Ghante is, the bell, Ganachari, and Virakumaras. Durga Pujari is somebody who invokes Durga. Uh, Ghante Pujari is these two perform certain priestly ritualistic acts. Pujari is the headman of the Tigalas, who actually oversees the entire festival. And Virakumaras are the protectors of the Karaga Pujari in the festival. So these roles that Draupadi created in order to protect herself from from Tivrasura actually are now an integral part of the Karaga festival itself. So finally, what happens is this Timrasura story is very similar to Raktabijasura's story. He has a boon from Shiva that every drop that falls on the ground from him results in many more Timirasuras. So finally, Draupadi, the Adishakti, not only kills but also swallows him along with all the blood on the ground, and then Timirasura is dead, and Draupadi, since Virakumaras are now on the earth, she promises them that she will return yearly once to guard her clan and ensure that there is an eternal continuity of Virakumaras. So fundamentally, Karaga is a reenactment of her triumphant homecoming. So, and the Kshatriya Kula of Vanikula Kshatriyas draw their, immense power, a spiritual power to perform their, the Kula performances and the rituals from this story. And the priest, the Karaga Puja, when Karaga comes, embodies Draupadi in a bridal dress. So you will see the priest in a red dress. And Virakumaras form protectors, and this Karaga goes all around the city carrying a earthen pot where Draupadi's spirit is invoked. So basically, it's fundamentally the martial ethos being demonstrated through the through the and going around the entire old city represented the protection that is accorded to that region. What is interesting, there's an observation that I have, is that in a truly evolving scenario, this performative act would have expanded as the city expanded. However, the entering of the secular era has resulted in, the freezing of the certain dimension of the festival. So it only goes around the old city as it was there in the pre-secular or the pre-British era. So that's where it has frozen. Next slide, please. So, as I said, the ritual knowledge is very, very, very secretive. So there is hardly any documentation of Karaga, and there is no. This is one of those where the curiosity of modernity has not entered into this space, and it has been left as it is. It is orally passed within the community, initiated by clan elders, and in a very secretive manner. So exclusive roles are the Gante Pujari and the Hasi Karaga bearers. So I will explain Hasi Karaga, which is when the invocation of Draupadi into the earthen pot, and Ghante Pujari who performs a lot of exclusive rituals of the Karaga. And outsiders are absolutely the entire city or the old city takes part as an observer, but there is nothing else that the entire city knows beyond a certain point. So if you Google around, you will not see too many documents around this. But what you will see is all the performative dimensions, all the rituals that are exposed to people. You will see innumerable number of videos, very beautiful videos. You'll see. I have not added over here because it's easy to Google, and some of them are belonging to private players. And this secrecy has also resulted in certain exclusivity and mysticness associated, a sense of pride and a building of a community identity that has remained as such unaffected by modernity. There is a sense of purity to it. There is also a sense of longevity, and pride in the fact that the ritual has remained exactly the same over centuries without others knowing anything about it. Next slide, please. So the 11-day festival, it belongs with a Dvajarohana, and then after that, lots of daily processions, baths, shrines, visits, etc. Then on the Trayodashi, it starts with Saptami. On the Trayodashi, there is something called Hasi Karaga, where Draupadi is invoked into the earthen pot. I will explain the ritual set in a little more detail. And Chaturdashi brings lots of temple rituals and communication within their own communities, and reading of their own Puranas, etc. Finally, it peaks on the Purnima, where the main Karaga night, where entire night the Karaga is carried by the Karaga Pujari, protected by the Virakumaras, and goes all around the old city. So it's kind of a fortification of the old city. An important point here, which I will elaborate, is that this, this between the day 1 and the day 7, or, on till the Hasi Karaga, what the rituals cover a visit to various lakes, various temples, various shrines, bathing in those, lakes, and it is kind of a purification and sanctification of critical areas of the old city, and it is deemed as a preparation of the old city, for Draupadi to come, and the area is ritually purified and made worthy for Draupadi to come and be there in the Karaga to be carried. So it's another important dimension of this Tigalas is that they were also the protectors of the lakes. So one of the reasons why Bangalore has so many lakes, rather Bangalore has so many lakes simply because of the geographical considerations. But the exceptional way in which they were protected at a certain point in time was because the Tigalas were also experts in lake management or lake overseeing, and they deemed the lakes as their own lakes and their own devatas. And all the Karaga festival rituals are associated with lake visits. In fact, the entire invocation of Draupadi into the Karaga pot happens in one of the lakes called the Sampangi Lake, which is, currently Kantirava Stadium. And earth from that is used to make the Karaka pot, and it's a very secretive ritual. So, so nature is an integral part of this festival, and it's not, it's wrongly read as nature festival or something like that. The whole thing is in if the entire area needs to be sanctified for Draupadi to come. The invocation of Draupadi requires that. At the same time, you'll also see that the entire festival is flower studded, and floriculturists, with Tigalas as floriculturists, they celebrate and bring what they produce as in its most sacred form. So both their vocations, so their kshatra, their floriculturist nature, and their lake protection or the lake overseeing, all three dimensions have become an integral part of the very festival. So just to give a detail on what actually happens on each of the day, on the first day, which is the Saptami, the yellow colored Dharma Dhwaja is brought from a particular household called the Potaraja household. This Potaraja household, there is a story associated with it, where Bhima was captured by them, and Arjuna came in the form of a lady to distract Potaraja king, and finally he is offered a raw meat, which takes away his powers. And finally, a settlement happens between Pandavas and the Potaraja, where a Pandava sister, who is not there in the original Mahabharata, it is a folk tale, is married into the Potaraja household. And so there is a familial relationship established with Potaraja household. And Potaraja family is now an integral part of the Karaga festival. A Dharmadhwaja is brought from their household and tied into a bamboo pole by Vahnikula Kshatriyas. And these Vahnikula Kshatriyas are spread in specific parts of Bangalore. There is a place called Jaraganahalli where there is a forest in the South Bangalore. And exactly from there, this bamboo pole is brought. And on the same day, the first day, all the performing roles such as Ganti Pujari, Ganachari, Karaga Pujari, Potaraja Pujari, all of them are initiated and invited into the festival. The Kulapurohita is a Brahmana. He's the only, a Brahmana associated with it. So he initiates the rituals, and the rest of it is taken care by others. And then that day, Virakumaras, the descendants of the Virakumaras created by Draupadi, they perform their sword play. So that is the Kshatra demonstration. Next 5 days, they visit various temples, deities. It's like seeking permission from various devatas and water bodies and gardens, and in 9 directions. And then the temple visits include Shiva, Ganesha, Annama Devi, and also a specific temple called Edusuttina Kote, or seven. Edusuttu means 7 rounds, fort. And then the Karaga priest has to, take bath in each of these water bodies. And the puja to the water is called as Ganga Puja. And the sixth day, there is a Arati Deepotsava by women. And that day's specialty is that the women of Tigalas perform a puja in order to seek a husband as strong as Bhima. Seventh day is Hasi Karaga, where it happens near the Sampangi tank or the lake, where manifestation of Draupadi into the Karaga pot happens, where the Karaga priest is identified 6 months before the festival, and Karaga priest, remains a brahmachari for 6 months away from his wife. The entire relationship is deemed nullified at that moment till the Karaga is completed. And at a particular moment when Draupadi enters the Karaga, the Karaga priest begins to perform the Karaga dance, and then the Karaga is brought into the Dharmaraya Swami temple in the Tigalarapete. The eighth day is, Pongal, and interestingly, that day they also narrate the story of Draupadi, but the story is narrated in Tamil. So in a form of Tamil that the Tigalas speak. And there is also a story of Sahadeva and Draupadi. So the entire Karaga has stories associated with Dharmaraya, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva in one form or other. The ninth day is the most important day because it is, the Karaga night is decked up with full jasmine flowers, and the Karaga goes mounted on the pujari's head. It goes around the city and touches the edges of the entire city, including the Elu Suttina Kote. Even Draupadi, Arjuna, deities are also murtis are also carried, including the Potaraja, with which Pandavas had a small fight before settling with a familial relationship. So the Potaraja family continues. And that day, they also describe they have a Jati Purana. That Jati Purana narration happens at the temple. And interestingly, the Jati Purana narration happens in Telugu, prose happens in Telugu, but songs are in Tamil, and rest of the things happen in Kannada. So it's a multilingual exercise that happens. Finally, a goat is offered to Potaraja. That's a secretive festival that nobody gets to see. So after this 9 days of festival, finally, it's a very typical, classical structure that after the grand finale day, a kind of Vasantotsava happens. Even in Sri Ramnavami, this kind of a Vasantotsava happens, but it's called Hanumantotsava there. And, just as in the Vrindavan, you have pot breaking, here you have turmeric, coconut breaking by men, which are tied somewhere up, and while the women throw turmeric water on them from the ground. Then the festivities come to the end when the flag is lowered once all the rituals are completed. Once again, the Karaga priest, identified 6 months before and who becomes a brahmachari during that time, goes back and becomes a um, uh, re-enters the family life. Next slide, please. So the Hasi Karaga night festival is very important because it's a private midnight ceremony. Nobody gets it. So the priest carries a flower-laden Karaga on his head. Virakumaras stand guard, and interestingly, they chant Govinda Govinda at that time. So the chanting of Govinda recognizes that Krishna is also a part of this festival in a certain manner, and also in this part of South India, Govinda is a Rakshana, Artata, that is. And there is a very nice bell, the Gante Pujari. He has his own rhythm that he carries. And then there are some special 7-9 circumambulations that happen in a very to intensify the ritual energy. This is one festival where the exclusivity of the ritual at each stage one can experience in a performative manner. I mean, the ritual is not an act that does not touch the performer and the observers. It equally touches both of them. When you see the ritual, every ritual's exclusivity can be experienced by the observer also. Next slide, please. So the role of Virakumaras is very, very important. The Virakumaras are devout young men and they're sworn as spiritual warriors. So this entire Agnikula Kshatriya, Vahni is another name of Agni. And so Agnikula Kshatriyas or Vahnikula Kshatriyas are they're deemed as spiritual warriors. They've been part of a lot of uh, they were very sought after as warriors, and one of the reasons why they moved into this area is because of Vijayanagar and Kempegowda. When Kempegowda formed the city, a lot of Tigalas moved into this area, and once again in 18th 19th century, when there was need for warriors, they moved into this area. They throughout the ceremony they guard and accompany the Karaga. The chant and the chest beating and the acrobatics are very exclusive, and they define their role. They're all trained in this. There is a pride associated in becoming Virakumaras, and their names would be, they would all be deemed as heroes until very recently. And there is a martial fidelity associated, to Draupadi. That's what her, and they served as protectors and ritual pillars of this entire festival. Next slide, please. So the Huvina Karaga or the full moon event, it takes place on the Chaitra Purnima night. You will see the priest in a very unique turmeric sari, bridal ornaments, and jasmine representing Draupadi. The Karaga Pujari that day is Draupadi, is representing the spirit of Draupadi. There is a very special homa that happens in the temple, and Arjuna Draupadi worship happens that day, and a massive public procession, as I mentioned. The It starts at around 9 a.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. on the previous night, and around 5 a.m. it returns back to the Dharmaraya Swami temple and completing the entire process. Next slide, please. So there is, the Edu Suttina Kote, or that 7 city loops, is a temple, is a symbol of what is deemed as 7 loops within the old city. And it also, so the entire march happens around the old city, where in 7 loops. So that was deemed as the completion of all areas of the city. So as I said earlier, the objective of the festival is to accord protection by the invocation of Adishakti through Draupadi to the entire city. So the Kshatra of Agnikula Kshatriyas is an integral part of this, and there is and the entire city deeming it as their own festival is because of this reason. Because there is a Rakshana dimension to this festival. So it is not just it. So it did not remain the festival of one community alone. It became the festival of protection of the entire old city by Tigalas. It also, while it visits so many shrines, Ganapati, Saraswati, and or Lakshmi, and all shrines around, it also, there is a Dargah visit also that happens in this process. There is a very a kind of cosmological and civic mapping that happens in this festival. Next slide, please. So as I said, this is the roles. The Ganacharya, there is a special role called Chakridhararu, who also carry certain rituals. Gaudas ensure that the overall, the Gaudas are not the Vokkaligas. This Gauda here is just the headman, who they will oversee the rituals and bring all roles into effect. The Brahmins priests only perform the initial Shastra rituals. After that, their role does not happen, does not exist. They're Kula guardians, Kula ritual initiators. But rest of it, entire oversight is an exclusive temple presidency. The temple itself, it consists of specific Tigala representatives, and women perform their role in seventh, eighth, sixth, seventh, eighth day. And on other days, there is an enabling role. Their primary role is on a particular day. So this complex structure of Gaudas, Ganacharyas, Chakridhararus, and minimal role of Brahmin priests, and then Gante Pujari and Ganacharyas. All of that ensure that different things are being performed by different people, and the entire community knows these roles without having to be trained much and by observance. And these people who perform these roles, for example, there was the Karaga Pujari, there was one Abhimanyu who was a Karaga Pujari for 7 to 8 years. And uh, his role was well known by his position was so high in the community that everybody knew him. So this pride associated in being these roles, and they became an aspirational. These roles became aspirational within the community, and due to which the performative dimension of this festival has remained the same over the years. Next slide, please. So this is the Dharmaraya Swami temple. Um, it is dedicated to Pandavas, Krishna, Draupadi. So, but it is referred to in the name of Dharmaraya Swami. And this temple, there are four Dharmaraya Swami temples, but all of them are fundamentally the Tigala temples, having all other devatas also. That is the Pandavas, Draupadi, and Krishna. And it has features from the Ganga, Pallava, Vijayanagara elements also, which means that Gangas have ruled this region starting from 800 AD. So the temple itself must be really very old, although sometimes, ascribing a specific date is very difficult. But certainly it was built before Kempegowda. And as I said, it's a spiritual epicenter of the Karaga. It's not just epicenter of Karaga. Entire old city, it deems it as the center. And there are four Dharmaraya Swami temples, and nearly all of them are of the same nature. Next slide, please. As I said, Karaga bearer is the living symbol of Draupadi for that day. And it's a feminine spiritual leadership, kind of celebration of that. And it has woven the community into such cohesion, which is unbelievable. And in the ritual space, it's an epitome of how ritualistic energy spreads, and how a community is centered around the power of the ritual. Next slide, please. And it attracts spectators. It's as per it, it may not be known so much in the across the country, and of late maybe gradually it is coming into its own. But during the time of the festival, it really attracts people from all even outside India. So that's significant attendees of that. There's the capacity of the city and the region, which is a very thickly populated area, very small roads. So too many people will not venture into it. And the modernity has crept into that area in the form of buildings alone. But that this traditional practice continues. And it has balanced. So there is a demand for public spectacle, which the community has not encouraged. And it has definitely come in the way of the celebration of the festival. But there is a balance that is struck because the state has so far acted in a very balancing manner. There have been years when things have gone slightly astray in different ways, but every time it looks like it's beyond control. Next year, it has gotten into proper control. Anybody who's gone to Old Bangalore area will know that uh, those roads are extremely small and cannot carry a capacity beyond a certain point. Media coverage and tourism has been extraordinarily well controlled in this case. There are several festivals in India, I will not want to name them, which got really upset. Their ritualistic purity got upset because of media coverage. For some reason, in this region, awareness of Bangalore Karaga and pride associated with it, and knowledge of people who are part of this Bangalore Karaga has ensured that media also has dealt with it in a very respectful manner, and media has sought to not bring its curiosity to harm the ritual performance itself. Next slide, please. So as I said, it's a Karaga is fundamentally a pot into which the Draupadi spirit, is invoked, and jasmine flowers are the exclusive dimension of this Karaga. Turmeric, kumkum, and swords, drums, bells. These are the elements of this Karaga. You will see this. That's why there is a Gante Pujari. Gante Pujari means, associated with bells. And rest of it is ritual and Pujati Purana and the community. That's about this festival. These 10 elements, the power of a single festival, you can experience it. Next slide, please. So this Virakumara wrestling. And another important dimension of this is that ancient musicians are an integral part of this festival. So when the Karaga, visits, when during the preparatory phase of second to sixth day or seventh, even ancient gymnasiums are also visited. And so that itself represents the fact that it's a martial communities festival. So, so it is at once about nature, it's at once about the city and the protection. It is also at once about the performative nature of the Kshatriyas. And a lot of old wrestling centers were there in this region, which they are called as Garadi Mani, the ancient gymnasiums, which have come to somewhat a knot. And it's also important that a lot of fantastic kabaddi players of India came from this region. And so the ancient gymnasiums played a role in that. Next slide, please. So that there is a temple trust, and that manages everything, and there is community volunteership. Nobody from outside needs to do anything for that. Nobody from outside even asks to do anything. Government does not have to do anything in that. Nobody tries to meddle in their affairs. The community manages everything completely, and some donations and other things are there. It's through the donations that the outside world participates, not seeking any control in the way how the Karaga is either performed or the festival. Even the Varas from a temple management, in spite of all kinds of laws that exist in this country, uh, this dimension is untouched by that. I'll end this with this slide. So it is fundamentally, an example of how the ritual core of a festival has remained the same, with the community authority being absolute and supreme, and how modernity has, just stood on the at the periphery without uh, only seeking to promote it and not seeking to create any intrusion through its own curiosity. So even as the city of Bangalore has grown, the South Bangalore, where this is at the center of the city, has continued its association, and even today you can see the larger part of the society in South Bangalore somewhat aware and distantly participating in Bengaluru Karaga. But what is more important is how a community that is supposed to have the Purana says that somewhere in the upwards of Maharashtra, where this community originated, travels all the way down first to Tamil Nadu and then subsequent Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and then to this part of the city, and they absolutely and completely retain their ancient Puranas and rituals, and how uh, uh, the core story Swarnarohana Parva, what where the classical ends, where the Shastriya, where the epic ends, this community starts. So it is drawn from exactly the end of the Mahabharata, and has become an epitome of a lived tradition of Mahabharata. Thank you.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Thank you, Shivakumar. Uh, this was really a fantastic talk. Uh, on the one hand, this is an example of some people call it the Asian trend, and some people limit it to South Asian trend of city and village culture having a continuum. Uh, People wouldn't believe that a festival which would look like a village festival, uh, the same festival was reported from Chittoor district in the morning by Marabushi
Hmm.
Sampakumaracharya. And there are studies of the same festival in Tamil Nadu and all that, but they are all village festivals. This is in a metro city, and
Absolutely.
there are studies in sociology and anthropology about this. Some people use the word prismatic culture. Uh, some people use
Hmm.
some other technical terms to talk about the urban-rural continuum. They, there is no seam between urban and rural life. Almost they call all the metro cities of South Asia as big villages. Uh, so this is a very interesting phenomena, and there are particularly in the Karaga festival of Bengaluru, there are so many issues: the martial culture, the Veera
Yes.
culture, the Kshatriya
Yes.
culture, and the community memory
Yes.
and community continuity.
Yes.
All these,
Yes.
apart from uh, the village-urban continuum. There is one
Yes.
question from Madhu Utteri. Wanted to know if there is any serious and appropriate waste management program planned for these huge festivals.
It's interesting question. This doubt itself, this point itself never came to me. And whenever we have seen Karaga happening, the Karaga rituals are associated with such material that nothing else is used and nothing else is supposed to be used. Consequently, all there is a natural way of this waste being efficiently managed. No, I've not seen plastic being significantly used anywhere. So there is a nature sensitivity that is very built within the community, and since then, or community itself manages and others don't enter and they just support it. So this crisis I've never seen. Whereas I've seen, waste management as a problem in whenever we do any modern carnival. So it's an interesting thing that we must study. And in particular, this community being protectors of nature in the form of lakes, and being the growers of flowers, there is some kind of nature sensitivity that is built into them. So it's a thing to be observed. So far, I have not seen that as a strong necessity. But of course, the urban areas will put their own pressure over a period of time. So the other thing that fascinates me is that here is a combination of a kshatra. Here is a combination of, nature being an integral part of it in the form of lakes and so on. Then there is, you know, a, an exclusive sensitivity associated with the flowers because they grow flowers. So it's the same community that is at once responsible for the protection of the city, responsible to build martial skills such as gymnasiums and grow flowers and also protect lakes. That's a unique combination, and that kind of a community, multidimensional communities must have existed in ancient times much more, because there was no 24/7 war, and in non-war times they would be still be performing something or the other valuable to the society. So somehow the Tigalas have a community have survived and have retained their ancient forms. I don't know if there are other such communities, and that's worthy of research.
Thank you very much, Shivadri.
Thank you, sir.
That was
Thank you.
a very detailed ethnography in cultural anthropology. They use the word thick ethnography. It was very thick,
Mhm.
uh, dense
Thank you.
description. Uh,